The Canon 70D. Is this 5-year-old DSLR still relevant in 2018? Released in 2013, the Canon 70D is still sold new today at around £750. Although, if you're willing to look on MPB or eBay, the used market in general, you can pick these bodies up for around £400, often with a kit lens. And at that price point, they're getting quite a lot of camera for your money. It's light, but yet really solidly built. And for that reason, it was the go-to camera for a lot of YouTubers for a long time. For a good few years, we saw the 70D everywhere. It has a 20.2 megapixel APS-C sized CMOS sensor, and that will record video at a full 1080p at up to 30 frames per second. The camera takes full advantage of Canon's signature color profile, which everyone has grown to love. It also takes advantage of a fully articulating flip-out touchscreen and Canon's dual pixel autofocus system, which even all these years on is still the same system they're using today. It's rock solid and totally reliable. So really, this DSLR is a feature-packed beast. You're getting a lot for your money. Even 5 years after it's released, you still have the ability to make great video with something this small. So let's look at the good bits of the Canon 70D. And straight out the box, the build quality is the first thing you'll notice. It really is a solidly put together bit of kit. It's ergonomic, it feels great in hand. It's light but yet sturdy. It almost has a heavy quality to it without being heavy. I'm not sure if that makes sense. But you can tell that it was a high-end bit of kit when it was released. At the very least, it's a prosumer level piece of equipment that you're holding. The autofocus, that is right up there with the very best features of this camera. The dual pixel autofocus technology that Canon have put into this is still the same one that is used today. It's rock solid and totally reliable. The flip-out articulating touchscreen is indicative of when this camera was released. It was to embrace the vlog-style filmmakers, the selfie shooters. It flips out a full 180 degrees from the side of the camera, so none of this on-top business. It doesn't get in the way of anything, it's always in view. So if you are a solo filmmaker or one of those selfie style shooters, you'll always know if you're in shot, in focus and well lit. It is the feature that people still look for on DSLRs today, and it still surprises me when it's not there. So with this camera you get the signature Canon colors, and that makes for a really quick workflow when you get to post-production. There's not a lot you have to do to get a beautiful looking image, and that's really where this camera sits at. It's for people that want to make videos quickly. In many ways, it is the perfect camera for YouTube. You don't get a lot of scope for correcting or for marrying it to other cameras, so there's not a lot you can do with grading because the files aren't there to do that. But that's kind of unnecessary when it looks as good as it does straight out of the camera. So with that, let's look at the bad points of the Canon 70D. This is a 5-year-old camera, so obviously it doesn't have 4K. It doesn't have the high frame rates that you might get with a Sony or with maybe the 1DXs, the kind of bigger brothers of this camera. In fact, the highest frame rate you can record at is 30 frames per second, so no slow-mo at all. It will let you record technically at 60 frames per second, but the video is then downsized to 720, and that's no good. Battery life is okay. It takes the kind of signature Canon LPE6 batteries. They're around 1000 milliamp, so you'll get a good couple of hours out of it. In reality, you're going to want to fit a dual battery vertical grip to your Canon 70D to double that battery life so you can film longer without having to worry about changing your batteries. Obviously there's no RAW files with this, it is just the H.264 MP4 files that you get onto your memory card. That means there's not a huge amount of scope for color correction or changing or marrying it to different color profile cameras. You're kind of stuck with the heavy Canon color profile that you've got there. So if you're looking for something that's a flatter image, this probably isn't the camera to go for. If you're looking for something to grab and go with quickly and look beautiful straight out of the camera, then this is definitely something to pay attention to. So the Canon 70D, it is 5 years old, which means it is lacking in some features that you'd expect to find in cameras of today. That being said, you're still getting a lot of camera for your money. It does produce very beautiful 1080p images. It's not going to be a B-roll beast, it's not a 1DX Mark II, it doesn't have slow-mo, but what it does do is enable you to get beautiful images really quickly. So, if you're a filmmaker on a budget, and that budget happens to be around £500, then you can't go far wrong with a Canon 70D. So that's been my grab and go review of the Canon 70D. I'd say it's still very much a relevant camera 5 years after it's been released. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.